former Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Fuck that motherfucker.
Democrats will vote yay. Democrats rallied at FBI headquarters this morning.
When Kash Patel in the future breaks the law, violates norms, erodes trust, and harms our public safety, every Republican who votes for him today,
you want to come up here with me? Come here.
know that they will own those facts.
Come here.
Democrats excoriated Patel. They lambasted him for wanting to prosecute former senior government officials, including some who served in the first Trump administration.
Mr. Patel has left a long trail of grievances, lashing out at anyone who is not completely aligned with him. He calls Democrats, quote, vindictive, evil, and vicious.
I lost my
And repeatedly
marijuana.
Republican senators who don't toe the line.
I found it. There it is. Come
He has the backing of top
Don't get
Senate
high
leaders.
driving in the snow.
Mr. President, the next
Come on.
director of the FBI needs to focus on rooting out politics so the FBI can enforce the law, uphold the Constitution, and keep Americans safe.
Now, in describing
You
her
wanna watch
opposition
the
to confirming
Senate confirmation
Patel's, Susan
hearings with
Collins
us?
said, quote, Mr. Patel's recent political
Mr. Kash
profile
Patel is about to fuck up
undermines his
the
ability to
FBI.
serve in the apolitical role
Tomorrow we're
of
going to find
director
out
of the
who's on
FBI.
Epstein Island.
Collins says Patel's recent past is
Well, unless they
characterized by
delete
what
all of those
she
files
termed,
before he
quote,
gets there.
high-profile and aggressive
That's always a
political
possibility.
activity. And this vote has been open here just about 10 minutes or so. We think they'll wrap it up probably, I would say, by about 2:20 Eastern Time, 2:25. We do expect him to be confirmed. John?
All right, Chad Pergrin, keeping a close eye on what's going on there in the Senate. Thank you, Chad.
News pod.
All right, so for more on this, let's bring in former White House Press Secretary
Oh, they
Ari
have the
Fleischer.
little
He's
vote
here. He's
tally
also a
thing
Fox
there.
News contributor. Ari, thanks so much for joining us. All right, so do give us your thoughts.
Well, I think it's remarkable the success that
You should go
Donald Trump is having with these nominees. You know, in a polarized era where people on the other side really can't stand Donald Trump, the fact that Republicans are staying as strongly as united as they have is rare and it's necessary. So it's a remarkable thing he's getting them all through. I thought at least one or two would be defeated. It looks like he's going to have a perfect game.
Okay, I want to bring in
So the
Martha McCallum.
Republicans only
Martha's
vote.
here with us. You
Democrats
can
don't,
stay
right?
with us for the breaking news out of the White House. And
They all
now
vote.
on to the Senate vote.
But
on
it's a
Kash
simple
Patel for the
majority
FBI
vote.
Director. You've
So
been
he only
following
needs to
every
get
single
50
detail of this.
51
Martha, how do you
votes.
see this playing out?
Be
Well,
confirmed.
pretty remarkable. He's number 19.
Now there's 50
So this has been an
54
extraordinary run, and I think that
Republicans.
Senator John Thune, the new majority leader, deserves a lot of credit for moving
Or I
all
think
of these through very
52
quickly. I think it's
Republicans,
also clear evidence that people do not
46
want to get in the way
Democrats, and 2
of the
independents,
new
or shit like
president,
that.
returning president Donald Trump, and they are giving him the cabinet that he wants, which is, as it has been throughout the course of history, very, very unusual to reject a presidential cabinet pick or any of these high-level picks like director of the FBI. It hasn't happened since John Tower for the first President Bush, who ran into some roadblocks. But I mean, you know, for what we heard from so many in the press, Sandra and John, that this was going to be such a rocky road for so many of these individuals. It's very clear that Kash Patel has been someone that President Trump trusts and has confided in over the course of his political career, and he wants him to shape things up at the FBI. You know, it's interesting, Ari, coming right off that White House press briefing where clearly we saw members of President Trump's team taking what is a victory lap in the first weeks of his presidency. This would be a big part of that. This is the big part of the plan that he has laid out that he needs in place to do and carry out the big promises he's made to the American people. Ari.
Who? I don't know.
Well, getting your people in place is absolutely a necessary precursor to getting your actions carried out. It is a big part of it. But nobody at the end of the day is going to remember what a vote was or whether you got your people in or didn't get your people in. They're going to remember what your people did and what the president does. So the ultimate test is yet to come for the Trump administration. What indeed will Kash Patel do? Will he be able to fight crime? Will he be able to reduce murders throughout the United States? Will he depoliticize the FBI? That's the type of thing that people will be looking for.
And that's what Elon Musk is trying to stop.
Same across the board for all the cabinet appointees. Yes, to his credit, he's got them all through. As Martha pointed out, that actually is traditional to get them all through. It's a surprise in this polarized era that it happened for Donald Trump. But now comes the work. Can you get legislation passed through Congress? Can you go beyond executive orders? What will you accomplish? That's the big test, the big next for everything, Trump.
Yeah, all great points.
Boyfriend came home
Before we
early.
let you go, I want to play out this sound of
Boyfriend
Democrat
came home
senators slamming Patel. This is all
Did
sound
you pick
just
the
from this
garbage
morning.
can up?
My Senate
Well, partly
Republican
on the
colleagues
street.
are willfully
pulled in.
ignoring myriad red flags on Mr. Patel.
Looks like he has to
This
poop.
is someone we
in a
cannot
hurry.
trust. This is someone who lacks
I
the
swear to God,
character
man,
to
I
do
think he
his
has to take a
job,
shit.
someone who lacks the integrity
I
to
think
do
he has
his
to take a
job.
shit. He ran in
He's a
there so
yes man
fast,
for
it wasn't even
President
funny.
Trump, already
Like to check on the
undermining
dog.
the critical bureau he wants to lead, already demonstrating an alarming willingness to do the bidding of a vengeful White House.
And then we have this photo of only 5 senators today at that presser against Kash Patel. What does this say about Democrats and their path forward and the message that they're sending in these early days of this presidency, Ari?
I'm sorry, but the only reason the Democrats have Kash Patel as the FBI director is because of the Democrats.
Yeah,
If
pretty
the
much.
Democrats had not, in Donald Trump's first term, treated Donald Trump the way they did, politicizing the FBI, politicizing the Justice Department, to take it to extremes, trying to throw Donald Trump off the ballot as a candidate for re-election. If they didn't push the norms and go to the bounds they went to, including indicting and trying the former president on trying to indict him or indicting him, trying to put him away in prison on federal charges, Donald Trump wouldn't have felt the need to take this action. But when the Democrats break the norms, what do they expect? So every one of those speeches they gave this morning against Kash Patel, they should have been given against themselves 4 and 8 years ago. If they had acted with moderation and not gone after Donald Trump, they wouldn't be getting Kash Patel today.
All right, Ari, if you could stand by with us, and Martha, thank you so much for your patience sticking with us through the breaking news. We'll let you go get ready for the story. All right, thank you. Ari, if you could stand by, I want to bring one of our reporters in on a developing story today that we've been watching closely. Ari, please stand by. John?
It was a heart-wrenching moment for everyone in Israel as Hamas released the bodies of 4 murdered hostages. The victims included an Israeli mother and her 2 children, Ariel and Kafir Bibas. They were the youngest hostages taken from Israel back on October the 7th, 2023. Greg Balcott is in Tel Aviv. And Greg, what's the reaction been so far in Israel to this?
Well, people are saying, and they are telling me, that this is one of the saddest days of the entire conflict here in the region, and that is saying a lot. It has a lot to do with the bodies of 3 of those returned, as you just noted, John. 32-year-old mother and wife Shiri Bibas, and her 2 sons, 4-year-old Ariel, 9-month-old Kafir. Now, the husband and father of them all, Yarden Bibas, was captured but released alive earlier this month. Hamas claims, without evidence, the family was killed in an Israeli airstrike. For the nation, the plight of the Bibas family seemed to embody the suffering of all the hostages. Another reason for the sadness today, John, the remains also returned of 83-year-old Oded Lifshitz, husband, father, grandfather, retired journalist, and even a peace activist aiding Palestinians in Gaza. The day started with another propaganda display in Gaza by Hamas, the coffins containing the bodies brought by the Red Cross to an IDF military site for a brief religious service. They were transported in a long convoy with moved and emotional people lining the route up to the Israeli Forensic Center near us here in Tel Aviv for final examination. In fact, John, 83-year-old Lifshitz has now been formally identified, and the Israeli Prime Minister office saying he was murdered by a militant group in Gaza. Netanyahu declaring revenge
about right.
taken against these murderers. For his part, Israeli President Herzog asking for forgiveness on behalf of Israel to the hostages and the families. Now, John, there are 6
You can
living
forgive them, but you can't
hostages
forget
to
them.
be released on Saturday, 4 more deceased to be handed over next week, and initial talks regarding phase 2 of this ceasefire agreement with the promise of more hostages to be released.
Oh, it's Danny. What's up, Danny? Sorry, bud.
Today, tonight,
Uh-oh.
here in Israel,
I thought it was gonna be you one day.
a lot of sadness.
You getting ready for Kash Patel to be confirmed?
With good reason.
41 yes votes, 33 no votes.
Sandra?
It's absolutely heart-wrenching. Let's bring back Ari Fleischer for his reaction. Ari?
Sick for like 3 weeks. I've been sick. Like 3 weeks, Danny, we've been sick. The bug and I don't know if it was a flu, and then she got an ear infection and stuff, and like I told you on here, I think my former business partner is going back and flagging all my previous controversial videos because now I have 2 strikes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
So I have to be really, really, really good for at least 90 days. But I fucked that up today. I posted some pretty nasty shit today on both my accounts. But I'm shadow banned, so my other account, Make Purring Great Again. Last week I started posting Senator John Kennedy videos, and I was getting 30,000 views a day. And then it went from 0, and then the shadow ban came off, and I went to 30,000 views a day. And then 6 days later, now I'm back down to 0 views. But there's no shadow banning.
Beyond the way to you, our political panel will react.
But in a week of that, I made 126 subscribers in a week of nothing but Senator John Kennedy videos. I've started GoFundMe to make a statue for this guy somewhere.
It was one of those books that smelled bad, but
he's fucking hilarious. Now I gotta go to the doctor. I'm gonna go get some good drugs today. Gotta get my refill.
The refills are limited.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
There would be an hour in the day that I didn't think about.
I'm gonna get me my refill of K-pins.
Because it was 100% drug free and clinically tested. I experienced thickness.
Got Benjamin Franklin here.
Was life-changing for me.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com/men.
You want to know some fun facts about Benjamin Franklin?
Portfolio.
Some things just don't feel real.
I don't trust a lot of
What's going on out there right now?
We all know Benjamin Franklin invented stuff like the bifocal, the Pennsylvania stove, and the street lights that you could turn on and off. But he also invented these things called air baths, to where he would sit naked outside for an hour every day, or if it was too cold or the weather was bad, he would open up his window and read a book, buck-ass naked, spread eagle in front of the window, because he thinks that the outside air makes you healthier. But my favorite thing about Benjamin Franklin was he convinced the French to fund the Revolutionary War. And then after the Revolutionary War, he convinced the French not to make us pay the money back. So basically, the French funded our American Revolution because Benjamin Franklin was a genius whoremonger that just slayed pussy all day long. That's why he's my favorite American of all time. You know, people talk so much shit about George Washington, but George Washington couldn't scrape 2 pennies together to pay for that war. Benjamin Franklin sailed to France, banged 4 chicks a day, and got money.
Here's to getting better with age.
Cheers to beating these two every Thursday.
It's the same thing like saying if we wanted to win Vietnam, we could have won Vietnam. But because we wanted to be nice, we didn't do the things we weren't supposed to do, like fucking destroy Cambodia and Laos and go deep into North Vietnam, or murk people we just simply suggested of being Viet Cong. And they frown down upon, killing everybody in a village and burning it down. But, if you let Viet Cong hang, if there's AK-47s in your village, you're all Viet Cong as far as I'm concerned. So, it's the same thing, like, you mean to tell me Russia couldn't take Afghanistan? Neither could we? Fuck. Osama bin Laden was a 7-foot tall Muslim dude that needed dialysis. So imagine that. The cave that he was hiding in had a fucking electrical cord and a generator on the outside so that he get his dialysis every day, and it took us 15 years to find him? Nah. I'll tell you my conspiracy theory about that. Smoke a cigarette for this one.
I feel you.
I don't think we ever killed Osama bin Laden. Now, I was sitting in a bar room the day that Barack Obama came out and said we killed Osama bin Laden. But over the years, I've thought, well, hear me out. One day, this was in Obama's second term. He wasn't very popular in his second term. Well, at the end of his first term. So he had to come up with a gimmick. This was, I think, 2011, I think. It was either 2010 or 2011 when bin Laden got whacked. So I guarantee you, Obama was sitting with the cabinet one day, and he's like, "How can we get some free press?" And somebody said, "Well, you know, we haven't seen any videos of Osama bin Laden lately. Maybe he's dead. And if he died of natural causes and we claimed that we killed him in a Navy SEAL raid, the Taliban would be like, yeah. They killed him. Because then he'd get his 81 virgins in heaven. But if he just died a natural death, not a jihadi death, he ain't getting those. He ain't getting them bitches." And then you have SEAL Team 6, who are all sworn and signed NDAs. They're not allowed to talk about anything they ever did. You send them in, and then you what was the phrase they used? Whatever. They gave him a religious Muslim burial at sea, to where they bound him up with white towels and threw him over an ocean. There are no pictures of Osama bin Laden being killed. There's no videos of Osama bin Laden being killed. All we have is Osama bin Laden and a bunch of Navy SEALs saying, "Yeah, we killed Osama bin Laden," and then the Taliban was like, "Yep, that happened." You mean tell me that shit don't fucking add up? We saw the footage when al-Baghdadi was killed. Trump came out and said he died like a fucking dog, and we saw the footage. We saw it. Look, I'm not saying it happened. I'm just saying that it seems more likely that happened than after 15 years, all of a sudden, Osama bin Laden slipped up and we caught him in bed with only one guy guarding him. Fucking please. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but do you know how much money the United States government spent solely on finding Osama bin Laden? Like, we funded other terrorist organizations completely just so that ISIS. Well, why do you think ISIS was funded by the United States government? Because they had links to Osama bin Laden. I'm sorry. It's like the drones. Remember the drones? Remember the drones in New Jersey a couple months ago? As soon as the government told me that I had nothing to worry about, that's when I started to worry about the drones. That's when my brain started turning. Because I don't know. It's just like, it doesn't seem like something that the government should be telling me. It's kind of like how you remember in the beginning of COVID, after the Democrats called Trump a xenophobic racist for trying to block Asians from coming into the country and spreading COVID. And then Trump said, "It's no worse than the flu. It'll be gone by Easter." Could you imagine if the president of the United States would come out and hold a press conference and be like, "Holy shit, COVID's here. We're fucked. Get ready to start eating your neighbor." Can't do that shit. That's why Nixon decided. That's why Nixon decided that the president shouldn't be held accountable for himself while he's in office, because sometimes the president has to say things to the people that they shouldn't know the truth to, or they'll lose their fucking minds. Like, in hindsight, how bad actually was COVID? Wasn't any worse than the time we had swine flu or bird flu or any other kind of flu, except for the Spanish flu. And then as it goes on, we find out that every single person who died was tested for COVID, and if they tested positive for COVID, that was made into a COVID death. Now, when Trump said, it's no big deal, we're going to have this shit taken care of by April, I honestly think that that's what he thought. I don't think he was lying to anybody, because what did Fauci say? He was listening to Fauci. But if he would have came out and said, hey guys, you need to go out and buy some canned food and learn how to hunt and fish, cut some firewood, we're fucked. Shit would have went downhill. And then what happened when the Democrats made it a big issue? People started wearing 3 fucking masks. They ran out. Normal people were like, hey, you guys still haven't figured out a vaccine for cancer or AIDS, but all of a sudden in 8 months you figured out how to make a vaccine for COVID. And apparently you've been secretly working on reverse engineering the COVID virus for the last several years, where the COVID virus came from. I thought that maybe something was put in the COVID vaccine before there was COVID, and then COVID was made so that the vaccine. I'm not saying microchips. Okay, I'm not a fucking Looney Tune. I'm not saying microchips, but I'm saying Pfizer knew that 18 to 30-year-old athletic men were going to get myocarditis or whatever the fuck it is. They knew that 18 to 30-year-old athletes were going to have heart attacks. I'm just saying, how the fuck do you get a vaccine in 8 months? It's more logically to assume that COVID is from the long list of, what do they call them? Fucking respiratory infections or whatever, and they were working on it. Dr. Fauci was working on it, and Dr. Fauci received money from USAID. But honestly, tell me this, Danny. Did you ever hear of Dr. Fauci's Beagle experiments? And you can look it up. There's videos of it. They posted it at the NIH. They took dog kennels and they cut a hole. There's a bottom kennel and a top kennel. They cut a hole in the bottom of the top kennel, and they raised a beagle up, and they stuck his head through the hole, and they sealed it off, and then they put sand fleas on his face and let sand fleas eat the dog's face off. Now, I don't know what exactly they were trying to figure out with sand fleas eating beagles' faces off, but honestly, I'm a little bit more upset that he did that to beagles than convincing a bunch of Democrats to take an experimental vaccine that gave them heart attacks. Everybody had the option to say no to that. And my mom got 2 jabs. Danny, how many booster shots did my mom get? Like 6?
What?
How many COVID boosters did my mom get? Like 6?
What?
COVID booster shots.
No,
She got the 2 first ones, and she got at least 4 booster shots.
she got this RSV, this new one out.
Yeah, but she's on shot number 6 already. And my mom's had COVID 3 times. 3 times. 6 shots, COVID 3 times. Now, I think that I had COVID in jail. I got fucking sick in jail. Sick. And I was going down to medical, and my cellie was like, do you realize that if you go to medical and you ask for a COVID test and you're positive, all 94 guys in this tier are going to get locked down 24 hours a day until everyone is done with COVID? And I was like, fuck. I thought, what are my chances of making it out for the next month and a half if I was the reason that everyone was locked down for the next month and a half? You know what I mean? So I don't know if I actually had COVID, but dude, I didn't get the vaccine. I didn't wear a mask, and I only wash my hands when they're visibly dirty or I take a shower. I touch a lot of questionable things and even more questionable people. And the whole time I was out, I didn't get COVID until I was locked in a cage like an animal. And the jail wanted to give me the COVID vaccine before I went into jail. Yeah, I told them that's a hell no with a side of fuck that. But you know, the Democrats fear-mongered the shit out of that situation, and they got people so scared that they let their mothers and grandmothers die in nursing homes without going to see them. Meanwhile, their leaders... Oh, you got a date with a hot Latina? The closest I ever got was half Latina, half Italian. But you know me, I got the black lady now. Let me know how it goes. I'll be on tonight for Jeopardy. So let me know how it goes. I'll see you, Danny. Well, I gotta go take a shower because I got a doctor appointment. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by to Justin's Conspiracy Theory Hour. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button because when I hit this shit, I can go all night long.